Before recording the next episode of my Sonic GT playthrough, I made the smart decision to, test the OBS settings I was using until I found something that vaguely worked, without being a blurry mess like episode 1 or missing half the frames like episode 2. Therefore, I'm sad to say that my dreams of 60 FPS recordings are well and truly dead, as it was abundantly clear after testing that it was the main culprit behind the poor performance of Sonic GT and the even worse performance of OBS. It's still not a perfect recording, but at least the only lag spikes you viewers will experience are the same lag spikes I experienced. Last time on Sonic GT, we ran through Hilltop Zone, destroyed Eggman's command unit of the area, leading him to cause the dormant volcanoes of the area to explode and transform the once verdant mountain range into Hilltop, which, describes the vibe adequately. We then travelled to Sunset Boulevard due to the information of Tails' informant, who turns out to be Sado. And thus, we began our journey into the neon-soaked streets of definitely not Studiopolis in order to destroy the jammer blocking all communication in the area. Out of all the areas we've ran through so far, Sunset Boulevard is probably the biggest street for longtime Sonic fans yet, with giant billboards advertising many insignificant background details that have been built upon since the Dreamcast days. There's Pinkbot, in case the Studiopolis aesthetic wasn't glaringly obvious already and you thought it might just be some other distractingly vibrant American city, but there are also posters for Sound and Space, the Star Wars parody that is referenced multiple times throughout the series and even has a short web animation, and the SA2 habit forming poster from City Escape. The long wait between episodes in this series has taken a toll on me, however, and I found myself performing pretty poorly throughout the level, some of it being due to the increasingly frustrating flaws Sonic GT has. Chief among these is an indecisive homing attack that can oftentimes rapidly flash between nearby targets uncontrollably, or even sometimes to objects slightly behind you. Attacking enemies, which this level thankfully has significantly less combat-oriented areas to worry about, can be annoying, especially when one has a gun and shoots you while you have no control after targeting them. It can also struggle to make up its mind on which level gimmick to attach to, especially when there are springs and rails in close proximity, as the dozens of attachment points the rails in Sonic GT have means that they can often overshadow other nearby objects. Finally, considering how long the homing attack in this game takes to reach a target, it sort of feels like there needs to be some sort of cancel effect, as it can oftentimes take so long that areas have become hazardous by the time you reach them. This comes into particular effect later on whilst fighting the commander unit of the area. Before that though, I spend too much time staring at a billboard in the distance that I don't even realise a cop speeder is in front of me before running into it, before continuing to run off a ledge and fall into a bottomless pit. If this wasn't embarrassing enough already, I then die in practically the same place, meaning I have to run this 30-second stretch 3 times before hitting another checkpoint. From there though, Sunset Boulevard is a complete breeze. It only stretches on for a minute, tops, before you reach the boss arena, and as most of that stretch is slopes or long flat roads, you can traverse it incredibly quickly. Too quickly, in my case, as I enter the arena at well over 300 meters a second and immediately crash into the spiked walls lining it. A great start in what ultimately becomes a battle of attrition. This commander unit, which contains the Sunset Boulevard jammer and takes the form of a large bird, is primarily notable for 2 reasons. 1, it is pretty much the solitary area in the entire game you should bother with the auto camera and not the free cam, as it acts as a good lock-on tool, and 2, it is an uncharacteristically slow and tedious moment for this game. Its attack pattern is extremely simple: fly around, shoot electric fields that create electric fences around the arena, before occasionally dropping down to flap its wings and knock you into a hazard, before finally overheating and opening itself up for a homing attack. You can homing attack the electric balls as they travel to the floor to potentially hit the boss while it flies around, which gives you either a safe but tediously slow path to victory, or a riskier but much faster option. The electric attacks honestly pose very little threat. They are fired miles away from you, and the electric fences they create between themselves are easy to jump over. Even when the boss drops down and flaps its wings to knock you into a hazard, as long as you just hold forward, it doesn't really affect you. However, it falls down to do this so infrequently that this will likely take several minutes, so you probably just want to throw caution to the wind and go for the faster option. Because of how long your homing attacks take to reach their target, you can often find yourself speeding towards a ball that has already become a hazard on the ground, and because you can't cancel, you're essentially guaranteed to hit it. This is especially annoying because Sonic seems to really like going for the electro ball that hits the ground first. I lost count of the amount of times I'd get hit by this attack after Sonic aimed for the one that hits the ground first, while I have to sit back and wish he'd just gone for one that I can see were closer and hadn't touched the ground instead. But after 2 attempts and a lot of waiting around, the commander unit is eventually defeated. With the jammer destroyed at the same time, the distress signal transmitted after being destroyed can finally be triangulated, allowing Tails to track Eggman's hidden base to a desert complex. You then go there. Yeah, after the last 2 levels had a fair number of extensive cutscenes capping them off to introduce the next area, this is disappointing in comparison. You arrive at hidden base, mighty thanks Tails and Sonic for all they've done, and the next level begins, with all the little grammatical mistakes that I just can't help but notice because I'm that sort of facetious person. I like the snide remark that Eggman has vandalized practically every pyramid in existence at this point though, because what else could you possibly base your desert level around? But with Sunset Boulevard completed, I hope you enjoyed the video, and ciao.